Welcome to another edition of Friday at 420. My name is Mike Neighbors. Glad to be with you as your host for the next 40 minutes as we make you laugh. We feature some great local Hamilton comedians and a very special guest out of Toronto on this edition of Friday at 420. So let's get right to introducing our panel. Way over on my right, as he always is, it's the lovely, the talented, the excited Patrick Coppolino.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, Patrick. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good, man. That's
Yes.
good. You sound a little pumped up. You're a little wired.
I'm a week away from 30.
Wow.
Woo! Yeah, I'm not dead yet. That's good.
Holy mackerel, man. Did you see it coming?
No.
This is how it works. Did you struggle this year? Your 29th year? Was there any sense that you were a little more depressed, a little...
No, this year's...
things felt heavy to you?
No, it's been exciting the year.
Has it been a good year?
With the club and everything.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. What club is that?
Levity Comedy Club and Lounge.
Levity Comedy Club and Lounge. By the way, this Friday and Saturday night, to mark his 30 years on the planet, Patrick Coppolino will be your featured entertainer at Levity Comedy Club and Lounge. Come down, help him celebrate his birthday this Friday and Saturday night. That's tonight and tomorrow night.
Yep.
Because I'm just paying attention to the fact that, now it's Friday, right? Tonight and tomorrow night. Patrick, celebrating 30 years. Please go to Levity Comedy Club and wish him a happy birthday. Right next to him, it's like it's his birthday every day.
I
don't even know what that means. It just seems like
that makes sense with me.
I know.
Every day is a celebration if I'm existing.
Potentially the day before you die.
I you know what I did yesterday?
Oh no.
I donated a pint of blood.
Oh, wow. Nice. Excellent.
Thank you. Well, in case
you look a little pale.
Yeah, that's your birthday present, Patrick.
in case I figured I'll need it eventually myself, so I might as well put it back into the system.
Good for you, man. Yeah, he's a pre-donation, right? Get it in the system so I can pick up on it later.
Yeah, and I figure maybe they'll put it in my own fridge. I don't know. I like the idea, and I like the idea of more people saying the word "dude." So.
Oh, okay. Is that how that's going to work?
I think
Genetically,
so.
You're going to pass on your genes through blood.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Well, I wish whoever gets your blood, Godspeed.
It gets tested, dude. There's a system in place.
I don't know if they could test for all the things you might be carrying. Manola Santanos, as usual, on the show, and a special guest all the way from Toronto. Her name is Sandra Battalini. How are you, Sandra?
I'm great.
It is awesome to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's terrific.
Well, we're very excited to have you here. You've got so many things going on.
Woo!
Yes. The most important thing we want to jump right into, because it is debuting, I believe, tonight in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And then Monday night in Hamilton, as part of the Hamilton Film Festival, you have a brand new documentary called The Mayor of Comedy.
Yes.
That's very cool. Talk to me a little bit about The Mayor of Comedy.
So last year, Matt Kelly, who's the filmmaker, approached me, I think it was at the SoCap Theater, and said, hey, I'm really into what you're doing for the comedy community. I started an association called the Canadian Association of Stand-Up Comedians, and we launched a petition to have stand-up recognized as an art form. And so he was like, I'd love to follow you as this thing progresses. He goes, if we get 10 minutes on YouTube, that's great. Right. So a year later and 75 minutes later, we have a full feature-length documentary, and we're really, really, really excited about it. Very nervous, but the nerves are starting to kind of fly away into more excitement to share the story, because we certainly are telling a story that's never been told. And, but revealing the peculiarities of the industry here and the impediments for artists to create their work on multiple levels. So
to create it and to get paid for it, right? I mean, to get money back, to be able to keep going, doing what they do. It is probably the toughest road in the arts community is the road of the Canadian stand-up comic. So kind of a rare, one of those rare endangered species commercials, right?
Yeah.
The stand-up comic is,
the Canadian stand-up comic.
Trying to forage for what little he can or she can find. So really cool work that you do. One quick question about the Canadian Association of Stand-Up Comedians before we get into our game. When you guys meet, do you guys sit down or do you stand up?
Woo!
Oh, I'm just wondering, right? I mean,
No, we sit down.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's in the documentary. We have some footage of us sitting down.
Okay, all right. Canadian Association of Stand-Up Comics. Sandra Battalini is our special guest. The Mayor of Comedy makes its debut at the Hamilton Film Festival this Monday night. We'd love for you to go out and see it and meet Sandra in person. Right now, we're going to ask Sandra to get up and drop a Plinko puck and get our first topic on this edition of Friday at 4:20. Any of those slots, just drop. Oh, she missed the board entirely. First-time Plinko player, obviously. You know, it's not an easy game, Sandra. I know they make it look easy on The Price is Right, but it's not. It's not easy. What number did we end up with? 4. Number 4. Sandra Battalini, your first topic on this edition of Friday at 4:20 is, are you a big picture or a detail person? Are you a big picture person or a detail person?
Big picture.
Big picture. You're always dreaming.
Oh yeah.
Get your head up in the clouds.
Yeah. I wouldn't have started this movement if I didn't know.
All the details that were.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like crazy, right? When you start getting into the weeds with running any kind of an association, and you go, well, let's have a meeting, and you go, where the hell are we going to meet? You know, is somebody going to supply coffee? Where are we? You know what I mean? Like, there's like lots of details.
And
that
because
go
I'm
into it.
Italian, you know,
There's gotta be
every
food.
time we meet, it's like we have to. I'm like, well, okay, we're having a meeting. We need pizza, or we always like Monty Scott, who's on the exec. He's a comic. He'll always bring samosas from Scarborough,
Nice.
or Chinese food, and you know, I'm just like, we have to feed people. I don't care.
Yes.
So that's a big.
You know
deal.
what? Now I want to come to your meeting.
Yeah,
that's
I think-
fantastic.
I would love if you came to our meeting.
That's
would
like
love it.
that's the details though, right there.
But you know, it's true. I'm big picture, but I'm also details. I get I'll get frustrated with details of when things don't move
Right.
quickly. So, and sometimes I do get obsessed over certain details. But
Okay.
like,
But mostly it's you're thinking.
Yeah, I
you
like
can
to
see
think,
big picture.
yeah, I
See
like-
down the road.
yeah,
See where things are going. Dream
Yeah.
big for all the Canadian
Yeah.
comedians.
Yeah.
Good for you. Manolis,
Yeah.
big picture or details?
I would say I think big picture, because the big picture is what dictates whether I leave my house or not.
Right. He's got to have a bigger.
Like I'm like, is there a possibility I might get laid today?
Yeah.
That's the big picture, and then
So it's a big dirty picture, is what
Yeah.
you're saying.
and then what do the details happen after
Yeah.
that? If you're like
details.
Oh,
The
you don't want
details.
the
I
details,
just
Sandra. Never ask him for the details.
I just go to the internet because I realize I'm not. There's no. I'm not gonna get laid.
He doesn't have to leave his house.
I stay home a lot.
He stays
So you go to a men's grooming site and you're like, what do I do?
Oh,
I mean, just
wow.
for everybody that knows,
Grooming
he's
sites.
Yes.
he's wearing he's got a two themes going on. Manolis, he's got a military and a country western
Yeah.
theme happening on his
Yes.
clothes.
I guess maybe I am detailed.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of details there.
Yeah, yeah.
Patrick Capolino.
I'm big picture too.
Yeah.
No, we're all big picture people
Yeah,
in here.
but the
How did
problem-
we even get this show done?
Yeah. Well, the problem for me, anyways, is I think with anyone, big pictures, like especially if your big picture requires other people's money. If they don't see the big picture, then it's a problem.
You got it. You have to present the big picture to them
Yeah.
so they do see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes-
Always find out what's going to move them, and then bring your big picture to that. I totally agree with you guys. I'm a big picture as well. Details elude me. I thank God I have my wife. She's the detail person, right? I mean, you need somebody in your life, whether it's a spouse or a friend or somebody to help keep you on track if you're truly a big picture person. Go ahead, Manolis, drop a Plinko puck. Let's get another topic going on Friday at 4:20. Sandra Battalini, our special guest from the Canadian Association of Stand-Up Comedians, a fine stand-up comic on her own right. Number eight. Oh, here we go. Number 8. Manolis, your topic on Friday at 4:20 is... You remember the first time you ever got drunk?
Yes.
Yeah, how old were you?
I think I was 15.
Wow, that was late. I would have for sure pegged you as 8.
I was. Might have been 14. No. Either 15 or 14.
What'd you do? Steal some liquor from your old man? Did you? What'd you do? Remember?
Rob Bowerman. I used to.
Rob Bowerman.
I think that's his name. I'm pretty sure it is. We're still friends on Facebook. He was a lifeguard and I was a basket checker, and he was like kind of like he was a cool dude, and so he decided to have this house party, and he voted like all the like lifeguards and everybody that worked at this rec center was invited, including me. So I got drunk, so drunk that at one point I realized I needed to puke, and I just got lost, and I think I thought I was going to the bathroom, and I went behind the bar. And I puked on Rob Bowerman's like a record that was kind of just there, and it was Pink Floyd The Wall.
Check now on your Facebook if that's the guy.
Drunk throwing up on his Pink Floyd The Wall album. Nice.
It belonged. It's amazing that I'm talking about this. I never thought I'd ever talk about this, but
That's what this show's all about. Boy.
And he
therapy.
His brother, it belonged to his brother. Yeah, so I took it upon myself to go to Cheapy's downtown and buy the album again to give to his brother because I felt bad because it was like I didn't think he wanted the puke version of The Wall.
It's not gonna play very well afterwards, eh? Yeah. Patrick Capolino, first time you got drunk, you remember?
Yeah, I think I was also 15.
Were you? Oh,
yeah, it was high school.
Okay.
But I was working at this sports bar in the kitchen. And then the same owners owned another bar that's not too far from here. I don't know if I should say what it is. Because they let me and my buddy, they hired us to bus tables on New Year's Eve at one of their other bars. And then, they let us partake in the drinking after. Right. Which is why I won't say who it is.
Sure.
And then, that was the first time I remember, really feeling drunk.
Really getting spun.
And then I'll never forget an older woman with leopard skin pants kissed me at midnight.
Wow.
Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
Hamilton. Yeah.
That is cool. Yeah. How old would she have been? Best guess.
Well, I don't know. I was 15, so she may not have been as old as I thought she was at the time. I don't know.
She was 17. She was
maybe 40 or something.
Oh, that's
40.
So first time you got drunk and you got kissed by an older woman.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. That's better than Manolis' story. He was puking on a wall album.
I made out with someone.
You did.
I made out the album.
Not. Sandra Battalini, do you remember the first time you got drunk? Yeah.
I was 5.
Oh, no.
I remember this so distinctly because it's like my parents had people over and, they used to give, maybe they still do here, but they give alcohol to kids. You know what it was? I don't know if you guys ever had this. It's called Marsala. It's like this liqueur that's so good.
Oh, okay.
And so I remember being underneath my parents' couch, just squirming because I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what to do with this feeling.
Right.
And it was like,
especially at 5, right? Because you can't put it together. Yeah.
So it was 5. It was 5.
That is funny.
Yeah.
And that stayed with you your whole. You remembered.
Yeah.
That feeling, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Exactly.
And then you kissed a woman in leopard skin pants.
Yeah, I know. What was she doing at my parents' house?
Who saw that coming? That's insane.
Who is this chick? I want to meet her.
It's the same.
When Manolis was telling his story, this was not the first time I got drunk, but it just reminded me of a story because I was at a Christmas party. I worked at a bowling alley, and I was at a Christmas party, and they had some booze there, and I kind of was sneaking because I was only 14. I was sneaking booze, and then I went right over the deep end, right? So now my buddy is trying to get me out of there, and I'm completely hammered. He gets me to the back stairs, and I'm on the stairs trying to put my shoes on, and then I threw up in everyone's shoes because it was a Christmas party. So everyone's shoes were laying at the back stairs, and I filled them all.
That's a great beginning to a movie.
Oh, isn't that?
That's a great.
My buddy dragged me out of that. We didn't clean up. He just said I had to get you out of there.
That's what you get for bowling. If they would have
bowling shoes.
If you just kept your own shoes on and not put.
Hey, it wasn't bowling. Yeah, that wasn't good. It was a house party. But anyway, I get it because he hates the bowling shoes.
And he doesn't like taking his shoes off at other people's houses.
No, he doesn't like to take his shoes off either. That's very Sebastian Maniscalco of you. He doesn't like that either.
Well, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work to get down there.
If you came to my house, though, you'd have to take your shoes off.
See? Sandra knows how to keep a clean house.
I'm inventing this new product where you just put them over your shoes to wear it
like a booty?
Yeah, it's inside shoes.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, like surgeons wear.
Yeah. That's I just go to hospitals and steal them.
Perfect. Patrick Capolino, get up and drop a Plinko puck. Friday at 4:20 with Sandra Battalini. The Canadian Association of Stand-Up Comedians, her brand new documentary, The Mayor of Comedy. Why is it called The Mayor of Comedy?
Well, in the doc, Phil Luzzi, who's a comedian and my best friend and co-creator and a lot of stuff, like writing partner, says if there was a town and the town was a comedy town, Sandra would be the mayor.
Oh, there you go.
So and someone else, Aisha Brown, had also said that too at one point. So it's like, Yeah, it's just like if there was a town.
You're going to organize everything and get everyone on
Well,
board
yeah, that's
and
just
moving forward, right?
Yeah, it's been the insane 2 years.
Take a real leadership role and help the Canadian Association of Stand-Up Comedians. The Mayor of Comedy will make its debut at the Hamilton Film Festival this Monday. Please get out and support stand-up comedy in Hamilton, and in particular, this particular documentary with Sandra Battalini. Who's Plinko?
8.
Number 8.
Oh, 12.
Number 12.
Right.
We don't stand on ceremony over the numbers here. It's just a random. Here, listen. Listen up, everybody, because we don't do these very often. This is a fill in the blank question. Woohoo! I wish more people. What do you got, Patrick? I wish more people
liked me.
Oh, you know what? It took a minute, but I sensed that one coming. Only because I really struggle with liking Patrick. And he was staring right at me. And he just looked into my soul and thought, I wish more people liked me. People love you just fine.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay, man. Manolis, I wish people.
You don't want to answer this one?
No.
I wish more people would have sex with me.
Okay.
Obviously, yeah, that's.
Oh,
right?
Obvious. Right?
I don't know.
look
You're
at
asking me.
Sandra.
Yeah, why are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you, Sandra. It's
Do you want
about
me
us.
to? Do you want me to?
What do you think you're here for? Your doc? Come on.
Oh my God.
Sandra.
Me too. Hashtag.
I love that. I love her. Oh my God.
You don't happen to have a pair of leopard skin pants with you, do you?
I do. I
Oh,
wear,
yeah.
they're leggings. I wear them to auditions and parties.
Nice. Sandra, I wish people.
Would speak the truth.
I wish more people would speak the truth. Thank you, Sandra.
That's what I'm doing over here.
Over here. Patrick, it's all about Patrick. Manolis, it's all about Manolis. Sandra speaks for all of us. What we need.
That's
What
why she's
we need.
she's the
People-
mayor. She's the mayor.
Do you get a sense people don't?
Yes. No,
Yeah.
No, they
you
don't.
think there's enough honesty right now?
Yeah, like I don't believe in right or wrong or good or bad. I believe in truth and lies.
Okay.
And this was a concept that it had come to me or it was introduced to me a couple of years ago, and it really made sense because, when you sort of just look at the world like, oh, that's good, that's bad, you're making judgments on things because we all do good and bad things, But when you can look at it and to be like, oh, there's a lie here. It's really been what's driven me throughout this whole
It's interesting, isn't
movement. Because to me, when I would look at the Canadian stand-up industry in particular, and then obviously in the context of the entertainment industry in Canada, and I really use the word industry very
Loosely.
loosely.
Yeah.
There were a lot of lies.
Yeah.
And
People were kind of promised things. That, well, if we get this, if you help us get this going, or if we start doing this, then this will come later.
Yeah.
And then it never, right? I mean, and they kind of knew it wasn't coming.
Yeah, or just people trying to explain why things are the way they are that are not in favor for us.
Right.
And then all of us comedians believed in the lie and we perpetuated it and didn't want to speak up against it because we were afraid that we would fear reprisal. Or we would experience reprisal, which I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've definitely been booted off of shit and all sorts of stuff. So and that definitely comes with the territory. But like when you speak the truth, I mean, I hate to be cliche, but it does set you free. And the thing about like people not wanting to speak the truth because they were afraid to lose work or opportunities was that in the end everything was disappearing in terms of opportunities, in terms of being able to create content. Because you look at the whole landscape, everywhere from the government to all the networks, it appears that more of the money and resources are being devoted to foreign content and foreign talent.
Right.
So it was like, okay, well, if we keep on this track, we're going to really be in trouble.
Especially when you consider, Canada, because I know this was something that sort of Canadian bands and stuff always ran up against, and it would be the same for Canadian comics, which is Canada's such a hard country to travel around.
Yep.
Like, it's so difficult. You can't, you jump into the States, you go to Northeast United States, and you hit pockets of 1 million people with a 30-minute car ride here and there and everywhere. And here, it's like, we're leaving Toronto, and we should be in Winnipeg in about a day and a half.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to make a living when you have to stretch it all out that way, right?
Yeah, and with no government support, no arts funding,
Right.
And then the other thing that I didn't even realize was that when I started to have conversations with comedians in Nunavut, for example, their biggest problem is leaving. Is getting outside of Nunavut. Like here where we live, in Toronto, in Hamilton, the Golden Horseshoe, there's a lot of work around
there
here.
is.
I mean, you can really, there is a lot of money to be made. I mean, it depends who you are, right? But there are a lot of, you could really be working.
You can keep
often.
yourself busy,
Yeah.
right? And you can have regular gigs far enough apart, but not so far that you have to travel for days on end.
Yeah.
And you can sort of make a living or get by at least doing
But
it.
if you want to get to the east or west coast, that's a problem. But if you're in Nunavut, if you're somewhere remote, just getting outside is a real problem.
Yeah.
So we have ambassadors all around the country, and when I started a conversation with Bibi Bilodeau, who's our ambassador up there, she was like, she's like, oh my God, we were just having this conversation about the fact that we don't have any funding. It's the hardest thing is for us to leave. And just to get out, whereas with us, it's not that we can do a bunch of things, but it's difficult when we want to go to the farthest
the cost
parts
of
of the
flights, right?
I know, it's crazy.
It's insane, man.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for you to go play a gig in Florida than it would be to go to Newfoundland.
And then that's the other big issue is just how hard it is for us to go into the States, because
That was I was going to bring
how
up.
amazing would it be that we would have no issue crossing into the U.S., that when we were of stand-up club age, like the comedy club age,
Yep.
that we could already be making our way into the United States, and that's not happening.
Yeah.
Because
And
you
yet
just
they
drive
can
an
come-
hour.
and they can come here.
Oh, yeah.
No issue, right?
So exactly. So like
We need paperwork. They don't, right?
no. I mean, paperwork and $10,000 American dollars.
Yeah.
And
Americans are allowed to just show up.
yeah.
Right.
And we're like, come on in. But we have to if they think we're gonna make money doing stand-up comedy in the States, they will basically, if we don't have a green card, they will just ban us for probably even 5 years.
This is an awesome conversation. There are some people who've tuned into the show who are probably really stoned right now going, what happened to Friday at 4:20?
I wish we were stoned. Right?
But no, that's a very important conversation, and I'm glad that we're having it right now on the
too.
radio station, and we'll continue to have
Yeah.
it. I said I would talk to you after, Sandra, and we would see what we can do about disseminating some of this information.
Yeah,
on
Mike
this
has a
radio
box
station.
of money in the corner. He's just going to
Yeah,
throw our way.
yeah, absolutely. How did you know that box is full of money?
I guessed.
That's exactly. Whose turn is it to?
I think it's Sandra.
Did
Yeah, I
we,
think so.
Sandra?
It
I think
is,
get
it
up
is.
and Plinko, Sandra.
Okay.
The mayor of comedy. A little taste of what the mayor of comedy and the battle that Sandra's been up against over the last 2 years, what that documentary is all about. Monday night, Hamilton Film Festival makes its debut. Go out and see it. It'll be awesome. Number one. Sandra is number one in our hearts. So, Sandra, let's talk a little bit about stand-up comedy and being a stand-up comedian. What would you say to someone who's been offended by your sense of humor? And I'm not suggesting you make excuses, but you've done a show, and now someone's been offended by something that you've done. What do you say to them? Is it harsh? Is it just if you don't like it, leave, or is it? Do you try to explain yourself? What do we do as comedians with that?
I mean, I have a few situations that happened where, I knew people had left the room when I did. It was more like I was doing some sketch or clown stuff because I do that stuff too.
Right.
I knew people that left the room that were offended by what we'd done, and then some of the people that we were doing shows with, they were like, "Oh, well, you guys are being offensive because you're doing X, Y, and Z," and we're like, we're trying to explain to them that this is satire,
Right.
But one time, actually in Hamilton, I did a gig, and it was terrible. It was like in a hall,
no.
and there wasn't even proper sound or lighting.
Oh, that's
and
always
I was at the end, and it was just not great at all. Like, it was probably one of the worst shows I'd ever had. So at the end, like, I was the headliner, but I think I did the least amount of time. And after the show, I went down to the bathroom, and there was a woman at the dryer, and she looks at me, she's like, "Were you just on stage?" She's like, and I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh." She's like, "I'm a widow," because I have this joke about that I've been cast as a widow.
Okay.
I have this joke. And so she's like, "I'm a widow." I'm like,
Right.
"Okay." She's like, and she was like, and I think I had a cancer joke. And she's like, and she goes, and my husband died of cancer. And I'm like, thanks. And I walked away from her, and it really upset her because she wanted to have a fight with me.
Yep.
And I just walked away. So, yeah, I know. Like sometimes you want to be able to defend what you're doing, like having that conversation, but like, I don't know, especially online, I don't really get involved in that kind of stuff.
Not online.
But most of the time, I remember one time too, I think I was in Peterborough and I had an abortion joke, and this man gets up and he leaves, and the woman, I was like, where's he going? She's like, well, he was really offended by your abortion joke. And I was like, you didn't even hear what the joke was. I shouldn't say it wasn't even an abortion joke. It was a tag to a joke.
Right.
And they just got really upset. And then afterwards, she was trying to tell me that like, if nobody had been aborted, or the amount of people that had been aborted, it was like as many people that died in World War II. And then I was like, imagine if we had all these people around.
We had
Anyways,
population issues.
but I don't know if I don't know if I said that to her, but it was like early on, I would really get my back up and want to spar with people, even from the stage.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, I don't know.
It's not worth
Yeah, it's just that's your point of view. Okay.
Okay, that's cool. And I always find it funny that people will go, because I get a lot of complaints for this radio station, and people will be offended by something, and so they send the email to me, and they go, you know what? I love your station, and everything's great, except when they make fun of.
Yeah.
And you go, well, hold on, because a whole bunch of other stuff was being made fun of, and you were okay with that one didn't really it wasn't personally yours.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's you, it's like, you got to stop with those jokes, right? Stop making fun of Manolis. I like it when you make fun of Patrick. Don't make fun of Manolis. I'm like, Manolis' dad is like sending me emails again, right? So
Does he?
he doesn't know how to email. No. Manolis, what do you do when people are offended by you? Because you're very offensive.
Yes. Depends on.
Do you try to explain? Like, is there a part of you that wants to try and explain what you were doing, or is there a part of you that just kind of goes, you know what? I'm not going to be able to win that argument anyway, so. We'll agree to that you're offended.
If it's on stage, I might tend to like try to burn the whole thing down. Right. You know what I mean? Like where I'll like you're like I'll go crazy. You want to be offended? I'm gonna make this very horrible right now.
This is gonna be so uncomfortable
that
everyone. You'll forget what offended you.
Yeah, but off stage.
I'd like to be there one night when you burn it down. I've never seen that.
Yeah. It's not good.
It's not good. Nobody wins.
Yeah. But off stage, it's been a couple of things like what Sandra's talking about, and I'll just sometimes I'll just say something like it's like, I don't know if you think I'm trying to offend you, I'm not. I don't know know what you want from me right now. Right. But I'm not.
Do you get a sense sometimes that an audience has the sense that he's just saying that to because that whole thing about he's not really that funny. He's just going to shock us,
right?
The shock jock.
But
thing,
usually
right?
I find whatever they're offended by. Usually it's a clever joke of sorts, but they just heard the word and they just like
goes back to your abortion point,
exactly.
right?
If they heard, I'm offended because you said the word abortion,
right?
But tell me what the joke was.
Yeah,
and they can't.
They can't. They never can tell you.
That's very interesting. Patrick, what's your take on people who are offended by you, just in general?
I don't really care what my mom thinks, to be honest.
Offended by you, offended by your comedy. Is there a point in trying to explain it, or do you just have to accept that some people there's different senses of humor? Some people probably shouldn't have been there, whatever.
Depending what it is. Like, yeah, I agree. Like, we've all dealt with people being triggered by a word.
Right.
And that, you can't argue someone with that because that's a stubborn point to make to begin with. But I remember one time I did have a bit about my mom. The punchline was my mom dying.
Oh, okay.
She's not. She's listening. Hi, Mom.
Yeah. Hey, Kathy.
Hey.
But,
hi, Lisa.
Yeah.
Hi, Lisa. I ate your pizzelle with before I went to bed with almond milk. And your biscotti, which are amazing.
Amazing.
But yeah, so I remember after I did that bit for a while, it was working. But then after one show, someone came up to me and he was just saying, like, giving me compliment, and he's like, "Oh, I really connected because my mom died too." And he was like,
Oh, no.
How did your mom die? And I'm like, oh, she's not. It was a joke. And the look on his face, he was like, oh.
Horror.
I just then I could tell like it really hurt his feelings. And like, why would you joke about that? So honestly, after that, I stopped doing
That was it.
that joke after that because I'm
You know
like,
what?
I didn't realize like, cause not that it was like if my mom had died and I'm joking about it, that's you know what I mean? But it just wasn't worth keeping it in, knowing that I could be upsetting people who actually lost a parent.
And there is a point,
it was
right,
worth him
where all of
explaining
us,
that to me.
everybody as comedians, there is a point where somebody could, lodge a complaint or whatever, but all of a sudden look at it from a different point of view. And you kind of go, wow, man, I did not see it from that point of view.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm going to rethink whether I do this or how I do this in the future. I mean, some of those complaints are totally legitimate because we're trying for the joke. And, sometimes you can cross a line. But it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I did that with a midget joke.
Okay.
I just
You mean
did,
a little person?
Yes.
Or no, what do we...
I said,
no.
I don't know what you're supposed to say. I had
Little
a joke.
people.
I
Little
just said,
people.
I had a joke about saying I would fight. Okay, you say whatever you want to call it. But in the joke, I said, I'll fight a midget.
Yeah.
And then this guy in the audience was like, I'm a midget. And he was just a really short dude.
Right.
Not like, you know what I mean? It was
Not like a real little person.
Yeah, not
but
like a real little
he was
person.
just
but
a
I was
full-grown
like,
person who wasn't that big grown.
I was just like, but I could see in his face how like it kind of he just didn't like that what I was saying.
Yeah.
I never did the joke again.
No.
Yeah, it was like
I didn't like. Oh, it's hurt his feelings.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm done.
That's because that's not what we're ever doing. We're trying to make people laugh.
And that's the whole thing where people kind of go where they're like, X comic says this, and they might be offended, but it's never been out of hate. You know?
Right.
I shouldn't say never because some people do, but that's my gauge where I'm like, oh, that was really hateful. For a long time I didn't like, and I still don't, depends the tone, if a comic goes up and calls a woman a bitch. I don't know.
Right.
Like, and I actually say it too in one of my jokes, but it's always just tone and intention.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you are being hateful, then that's a problem.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But I think like some people would say, oh, well, you can't argue, you can't joke about this, you can't joke about that. And it's like, not really, because you can really make a joke about anything. I've seen people laugh at everything, but
I don't like the fat jokes. I don't like sometimes some dudes will make some like a dumb fat joke. I don't like those.
Yeah.
Just don't like them.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Manola's offended right now, guys.
I'm
Is it
offended.
possible?
I'm offended. But I'll tell you one thing. The whole idea of just being offended, just also I think it's
Take it
okay.
easy.
Yeah, move on. There's tons of stuff I don't like. Some guys will send me these videos where like someone's like getting hurt really bad.
Okay.
And I don't want to see those videos.
Right.
But what I do is I don't watch them.
You're listening to Friday at 420, and we are glad you are listening to us. Sandra Battalini is
I'm a
our special
genius.
guest. Manola Santanos, Patrick Coppolino, as usual. Whose turn is it to Plinko, everybody? We only got about 10 minutes left to try to make this episode funny, so let's do our best. We've gotten into some heavy topics, but I think all really good, solid material and things for people to think about. 10. Number 10. Oh, Manolis used both hands that time.
It's the only time I can use both hands.
Awesome. Thank God it wasn't 11. All right. Your best Halloween costume ever. What was the best one? Think back right now. Your best one. The best Halloween costume you ever wore.
Dracula.
Dracula. Did you have was it a really good Dracula costume, or do you just love being Dracula?
I just really loved being Dracula. I was I was kind of like the joke of the neighborhood because I was Dracula basically for 10 years.
Oh, okay. Every year it was the same.
I literally just put my cape on a hook and it was like, oh, it's Halloween again. And like, but it's not. It was like it worked out that way. But I really liked being Dracula. I like the idea, like how I don't know why, because I don't feel like this way now. But I like the idea, like how he could live forever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was like a cool power.
Yeah.
You're the one guy who doesn't want to live.
That's what I mean. I really grew out of it. Like,
we almost on a daily basis, like, I think I might want to die today.
Yeah.
Patrick Coppolino. Best Halloween costume ever.
By far the cheapest Halloween costume I've ever had, which
Oh,
was my
yeah,
best was
yeah,
my Louis
yeah.
C.K. costume.
Yes, because
I
you
don't know if
look
Sandra's seen
Oh.
this.
so much like Louis
Oh my God!
CK.
Yes, I remember this.
Isn't that crazy?
And then
All
didn't you go on tour with him?
No.
Oh.
Went and saw him at a show.
Yeah, I saw him. I dressed like
That's-
that at his show, and I
In
was
Detroit.
in the front row.
Oh,
In
wow.
Detroit,
Yeah.
And he definitely saw me and chose not
Chose
to
not
bring
to
attention to
acknowledge that he had a doppelganger in the
You should have
audience.
done that when he was in Toronto.
Oh, that
Oh,
is
I know.
awesome.
I was like, thought about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. This year, you could take the Louis C.K. Costume even further,
I know,
right?
just
Just
have
run
a
around with your
dildo
pants
hanging
down.
out of my
yeah,
pants.
it'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
It'd be full Louis C.K. All right, Sandra, best Halloween costume you ever had?
I don't know.
Was there ever one that you think, oh, that was a killer? I killed in that. When you were a kid?
I mean,
Well,
I was
yeah.
Cleopatra one year.
Oh, see, you have nice dark hair, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that would be very Cleopatra-esque.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
yeah, that was a good one.
You
I
like
think,
that one?
And I don't know if this was Halloween though, but I played. I mean, I've done a lot of character stuff, but
Okay.
Mary, like of Jesus's mother.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. You remember her?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She was the one in the leopard skin pants that kissed Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary. That's very cool. When did you? Were you in a play or something?
Oh, the way
You play Mary? Where did you play Mary?
Oh, a sketch. We were doing sketch
Oh,
at
a
a comedy
sketch.
show. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
I've done crazy sketches.
Crazy sketches. Excellent. Sandra Battalini doing the crazy sketches. Let's drop a Plinko puck. Manolis, Patrick. Okay. Who? I thought that was Patrick. Just did that one. He just stole Sandra's.
No, that was his.
Oh, it was his. Okay, what number is it? Doesn't matter. Honest to God.
Five. You have a 5?
We're barely
Do
paying
you have a
attention at
5?
this point. We should have ended this episode 10 minutes ago. What are we doing?
Actually, let me just say it was a real estate agent. That was my favorite costume last year.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
But I had a knife. Anyways, no big deal.
Yeah. Looking for somebody, the Purple Bricks people. I'm going to take you out. Best energy drink. What's the best energy drink? Do you drink energy drinks, Patrick?
No.
No.
but Red Bull, I guess.
Red Bull is
Or
what you're going to
coffee?
say?
Does coffee count?
Does coffee? Yes, absolutely. I think coffee's an energy. I think coffee was the original energy drink.
Yeah.
So that's your energy drink to go?
Coors Light and cocaine?
Coors. Oh, wow. I don't think you can buy that. Is that still available in the store?
No,
I don't think
no,
so.
at the library. it's-
Manolis, do you ever jack yourself up a little bit? Get
He
yourself
just
going?
did. He
I
just
jacked
did.
myself. All right.
Oh, easy does it there, Tiger.
I tend to use the 5-hour energy drinks when I'm desperate.
Oh, you like the 5 hour? Okay.
Just when I'm hurt and like I need a second win. But
You know what? That stuff is. I will once in a while if I'm low and I've got to perform, and I don't mean the way you think I mean, Manolis. But if I have a big night where I'm going to have to be like on stage and doing some stuff, I might just get myself pepped up with a 5 hour energy.
they say it's not good for you though,
No, they're
right?
terrible.
And I don't do it very often.
But yeah, but it's like life is not good for me. You know what I mean?
Well,
So like
that's- considering the pharmacy
Existing.
he carries around in his backpack, I'm pretty sure the 5 hour energy, the least of his worries.
you know you're talking about that. And mushrooms is a good lift. I
Yeah.
didn't even think of that.
Oh, best energy chew or whatever. I don't know. Sandra, do you what do you use to? You asked for a green tea.
Yeah.
You like the teas?
Yeah, I make a
those-
homemade chai tea.
Don't they have a little bit of
Oh yeah.
a little lift?
But a homemade chai tea that I make is really good energy drink.
Okay.
But I meditate. So if I need energy, I meditate. I do yoga.
Well,
Kundalini yoga specifically.
Okay, Manolis doesn't do yoga, but he has been meditating lately.
Wow.
Yeah, He's
That's
very
great.
bright.
I did it today.
Oh yeah, I do it every day.
I do it every day. I've been doing it for 2 months, I guess.
Yeah,
That's great.
he says
Pat's
it's really,
laughing at me. It's worked.
says
I
it's
can't-
really helped him.
Right? Isn't it great? I can't.
Yeah.
I don't leave the house without meditating.
All you're doing is taking deep breaths for 20 minutes. That's all, and it's like trying not to think about anything else. It's very you think it's stupid, but you're like it's needed.
No, we've been it's something we've done forever since we were invented.
Wow, that goes back.
But like breathing is like that's your prana, right? It's your
that-
life force energy. So when you breathe, you're breathing into your your heart center is your life life force. So it's like you take those breaths and that's how you get energy.
But that combined, I think, even more so today with the shutting everything off for
Oh
a
my
minute,
God,
right?
yeah.
I mean, because that's the problem right now
Yeah.
is that even if you're a fairly centered person and you're fairly relaxed, it's just so much
too much.
incoming, so much
Yeah.
incoming stuff, right? I just keep picturing Manola sitting there, heavy breathing in the middle of the floor, going,
Oh,
"Wow, I can't stop thinking. What? How do
But
I
this is what
clear my
everyone.
mind?"
But this is what's happened. That's why the yogis came to North America in the 50s.
Yeah.
Specifically because right now people would be very lost and there would be too much information to deal with. And that's what's happening. It's like, I mean, to me, like you're constantly being bombarded.
Yeah.
And I try to just shut it off as much as I can, but it's really hard. But there's way too much shit out there.
Yeah.
I find it easier to deal with the things I need to deal with through the day.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like they're all coming at me at once, where I can go one at a time a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I even like meditate for 40 minutes if I
yeah.
if I feel like I need it.
I think for the last...
I'm so happy to hear that. Like, I would have never predicted Manolis being a meditator.
No. But I think over the last 5 minutes, while you guys have discussed meditation, I think Patrick's been meditating.
Yeah.
We lost him.
Rick Rubin is who got me into meditation. His documentary talks about it through the whole thing.
Oh, the
Shangri-La.
that, yeah.
Speaking of documentaries, we're almost out of time. One more time. The mayor of comedy, Sandra Battalini, and her battle with the Canadian government to become to get Canadian stand-up comedians recognized as artists, and to find some of that funding that has helped all the other art forms. We give all kinds of prizes away to people who are drawing pictures and all that stuff and writing books. Nobody even reads books. Why are we giving away a book prize? Comedians, people go see comedians. We should have a comedian prize. It's the Canadian Association of Stand-Up Comedians. Sandra Battalini, our special guest. The Mayor of Comedy makes its debut at the Hamilton Film Festival this Monday night at the Staircase Theatre, right?
Yep.
Make sure you go out, support local comedy. That's what this show is all about, and support our friend Sandra Battalini and the Mayor of Comedy, her new documentary. Thank you so much, Sandra.
Thank you for having me.
It's been awesome having you. You too? Okay, whatever. Thank you so much for you listening. It's been awesome, and we appreciate you checking out Friday at 4:20. Until we get a chance to talk to you again in 7 days, have an awesome weekend.
Woo!